So to change this from a dimension to a measure, so for measure, I have different types of measures I can use. I can plot the minimum of all values for that particular country, or the maximum, or the count of distinct values. So here I'll just choose count. So go to measure and choose count. So this would give me a bar chart. And again, if I want to, so this graph is fine on its own. But as you can see, like uh, it's very difficult to interpret this graph. So for example, Myanmar, which has the highest number of attacks, so that bar is all the way in the middle. Then the second highest is somewhere here, Dominican Republic of Congo, or okay, Palestine here. So it's very difficult to keep going back and forth. So what you can do is you can sort these based on the values. So what I did was, on the y-axis where it says count of country, there is one small icon. Like, can you see that icon there? Can you see this icon here? Okay, so if you click that icon, it first sorts the values in descending order. If you click it again, it will sort them in ascending order. And if you click it again, it will go back to the default view. So let's say we sort these in ascending order. But now we have another problem. So this problem is similar to the outliers problem which Monje we had discussed in the Python tutorial. So you can see that the first bar here, Myanmar is very high, 411. But then some of the values here, like Indonesia, which has only two incidents. So this, like these values sort of, like they either you can say that they are not represented well enough, or you can say that they are not really required, because the goal of this visualization, at least for me, was to identify where are most number of incidents taking place. So remember how Monjevi was talking that you might consider these to be outliers, right? So there are methods you can remove outliers. So in Python, you would define some range. Okay, if the total range is from say 5 to 50, so any points which are not in the range 10 to 45, you consider them to be outliers. So here what you can do is you can simply select all these values, right click, and then click on exclude. So this would remove all those values from the visualization. You still have the data. You did not delete the data. You just excluded them from the visualization, and the graph will adjust again to reflect the changes. So this looks much better than what we had earlier, which was this, right? And again, like this is again a choice which you as the like student needs to make, that how many values do you exclude, right? So like, do you stop at 6 or do you stop at 13? So you can select all of them, click on exclude, and it will adjust the graph again. So like, our bar charts clear? Do you want me to go over bar charts again, or any specific thing in bar charts again? Okay, so I'll just tell you a couple of more things. So for example, if I wanted to, like, in this particular example, there is no advantage to having different colors for different bars, right? Because like there's no information that we are adding by doing that. But I could if I wanted to. What I'll do is, for example, I want one unique color for each country, let's say. So what I can do is I can pick country from the sidebar and drop it on the color tab here in marks. So what this did was, it created the legend also automatically for me. So Python, you need to do all of this manually. Tableau will do most of the heavy lifting for you. So it mapped different colors to different countries. So for example, Afghanistan, this light blue color is there, and in the legend you can see the same color is there. But like I said, in for this particular visualization, it doesn't make any sense to do this. So I'll just go ahead and remove this. Instead, we can try something like this. I can take country, drop it in color, and then you remember how while plotting the bar chart, I changed country here from a dimension to a measure. And then in measure, I chose count. I can do something similar here and change country again to a measure and count. And you can see like now it's again like it's not required, but it's a better visualization because what you can say here is that Myanmar has the most number of incidents and it's colored the deepest, whereas some countries like Yemen, which have lesser number of incidents, are colored lighter. And like similar to how we added color, you can add labels as well. So, for example, if you take country, drop it in label. So now, see, you see this labeling here, Myanmar, and this is redundant, right? It's already information which is there on the x-axis. So it's just unnecessary information. It's making the visualization more complicated to read. So you don't need it. But like you don't need it in this visualization, but this is a feature you might want to use in some other visualization. So for example, I can again change it from a measure, from a dimension to a measure and say maximum or something like that. Okay. Or let's say count. Yeah. So now it displays the actual count like 411, 127 and so on. Are there any questions for bar charts? And again, like I mentioned in the beginning, you can always go to show me and it will suggest some of the visualizations which are popularly used with like the currently selected data. So you can simply click on pie chart and see how easy it was to just change the bar graph to a pie chart. Like while exporting, you can resize the pie chart, but yeah, you can go for a stacked bar chart. See, again, here it doesn't make sense because what it did was it stacked all the countries in the same bar. So for example, Myanmar 411, it got stacked somewhere here in the middle. So again, like someone might think that okay, stacked bar charts are cool, but then this visualization would probably lead to you losing marks in the assignment. So avoid overcomplicating things. Like stick to the basics and all. Yeah. So you can like always go ahead and keep exploring different visualizations here. Sometimes they would make sense, sometimes they won't. But yeah. Okay, so that is mostly it for the tutorial part. Like it's somewhat you'll need to try out things and figure out how you would construct a specific visualization. Like that's how most of the people who took the course last year figured it out. Once, so for example, once you have one bar chart ready, what you can do is simply go to the sheet and duplicate it. And then maybe instead of count of country, uh, what you can do is replace count of country with uh, total number of health workers skilled, change it to a measure and count. And I'll just remove these labels here because, yeah. Again, I can take total number of health workers skilled, send it to color and change it to a measure, which is count. Yeah. So you can see I just visualized the number of health workers killed country wise and also applied a color marker over them. Again, you can sort them. Like I personally prefer to view graphs which are sorted. It just makes them easier to interpret. So like any questions for bar charts or any of these things which we just did, like adding markers. You can also add a marker to size. But see again, like you can do this, but you wouldn't really do this, right? What it did is instead of mapping the number of health workers killed to a particular color, it just simply changed the width of each of the bars, right? So like you can do this, but like it might be useful in some other visualization, not this one. How could you change? Okay, one question is how could you change this to include year-wise data? Okay, so the data set I'm currently using, the files which were given to me were already like for separate years. So these were the initial files I started out with. So for assignment one, I just used them separately. But yeah, if you want to do year-wise data or something like that, there's one. option in Tableau Prep where you can merge two data sets together. So what you'll do is, like the ones who asked the question, Modani, Ayush, and Kothari and Sarvesh, like everyone, I guess. So can you tell me if your data set already has the data for different years in one file or different files?
It's in the same file.
Okay, it's in the same file. So okay, maybe one good example I can show is I can try using the incident date here. So okay, one second. Uh, okay, just give me a moment. Uh, okay, so in my current data set, the incident date is basically a month, which is given to me. So if you have an year instead, so it should pretty much work the same way. So for 2021, I have data available for different months here. So instead of mapping the countries to the x-axis here, the columns, I just picked up the incident date here. And like incident date in Tableau, it's represented in different manners. So if I want to just use the year part, so year, since I only have 2021, it just shows me a point here. I can change that to month, which is what I actually have in the data. So Tableau will actually allow me to change this to a day as well, but the data for that day is not with me. So I like it will generate some visualization, but it will be incorrect. So since I have months here, I'll choose months. So what this is displaying is total count of health workers killed in the month of March is 16. In the month
No,
of
but
June is 19. Yeah, sorry.
the bar graph itself, can we have like for every country we could have it split by month within the bar graph?
Okay,
How would you
yeah.
do
So
that?
within the bar graph, okay.
Like for
Uh
each country, that bar is split into things.
yeah, I got your question, I guess. Just a second. Yeah, so for you want to choose a particular country, say Afghanistan, and then have different months for Afghanistan. Is that what you're saying?
No, for every country within this bar itself, the bars that are there, it should like
Okay, okay.
split up into
Yeah,
months.
got it.
Yeah.
So let's see here. I'll choose month. Yeah, so just a moment. Yeah, maybe I'll just remove this color marker here for now because it just like overcomplicates things. Yeah. So now see in this visualization for Afghanistan, you have the data as a bar for each of the 12 months in 2021. Is this what you wanted, right?
I was thinking within the same bar, like different colors representing different months.
Okay, okay. Just. Yeah, so you can go to show me and select the stacked bar chart variant here. And then, okay, so now currently the visualization, what it's showing me is that for month and then inside the month, it is splitting the countries. You want it the other way around, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so for that, I'll just switch the month and the country columns respectively. Yeah, so now for Afghanistan, it shows you if you just hover over one of these segments, it shows you that in the month of January, country Afghanistan, there were three incidents. February, March, April, and so on. Is this like this is what you were trying to do, right?
yeah, got it. Thank you.
Okay, so like I understand it's a bit weird. Like this tutorial hasn't been smooth sailing, so to say, but I mean, like even I am not like familiar with Tableau after such a long time, but uh, you'll just need to keep trying out different things. See, once you have one stacked bar chart ready, right, you can just duplicate them and create multiple. You'll just need to add, like, basically switch this column with some other column on the sidebar. So, like I said, I did not know how to create this type of visualization when you asked the question, but like you saw, right? Just figure out how to do it by doing it, basically. Any other questions about bar charts? No other questions about bar charts? Okay. And also one other point, like all the like sort of theoretical points that Monjoy Bhaiya covered in the last tutorial apply to Tableau as well, because they are like primarily for visualizations. It doesn't matter if you are using Python or Tableau. So how like he described that line charts can be used to visualize trends and all na? So that is pretty much the same for Tableau as well. So you can like draw line charts like this. And then if you want for a particular country, you have this filters window here. You can go there and filter based on country. So you can edit this filter. You can select none and then say, okay, for example, I only want to see the line for Algeria or something like that. Yeah, so now this is the line for Algeria and it's visualizing the number of incidents reported each month. So it changed January, February, March, April to like uh, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And here you can see like January, there were 10 people killed. And this is for Algeria because I have applied a filter over the country column and said that only visualize for Algeria. And like I guess I had shared a link about Tableau tutorial or something like that. Like did you guys go through that? Like how many of you went through that? So if you haven't, like just go through that once again. So it will cover all these things like what are dimensions, what are attributes, what are measures, discrete versus continuous in much more detail. So it will be helpful for you. Like you will understand how to like visualize the data set which you have better. So are there any other questions other than bar charts or line charts or whatever we have covered so far? So like were you guys able to follow along the tutorial or like did you understand or like are there still gaps in between that you need to like understand better or something like that? Like Shreyas has understood everything other than Shreyas, like if there is anyone who has any doubts. Okay, so if there are no more questions, I'll just stop the recording and just go over the assignment description once, which you would have received a while back now.